Hi, I'm Gavin Edwards, the Executive Director of the Nature Positive Initiative. We are a coalition of conservation organizations, business platforms, standards and frameworks and organizations, and many others around the world, all helping to achieve the global goal of halting and reversing nature loss, nature positive, more nature in the world, not less, in the decades to come. Now, as part of the nature positive dialogues with our partner here, We Don't Have Time, today we're going to explore the true value of nature. We're going to delve into economics, we're going to delve into finance, and we've got a really fantastic lineup of panelists that bring real expertise and some color to this discussion as well. Our three fellow panelists, I'm just going to introduce very quickly. Luana Maia, who's the Global Brazil Lead for Nature Finance. We have Noako Ishii, the Director of the Center for Global Commons, and Satya Tripathi, who's the Secretary General for the Global Alliance for a Sustainable Planet. So let's get going on the discussion today, and I'm going to begin with you, Luana, so be ready. Here we are in the Amazon. We must be in the world's biggest tent, in the world's biggest rainforest, 50,000 people, quite a heady space. We hear the words bioeconomy echoing out of rooms, echoing through discussions as well. And of course, finance is at the heart of both the climate challenge and the nature positive challenge as well. So please tell us, Luana, what are the new frontiers of nature finance? Where are we going in terms of greening the financial system and leveraging new forms of capital? And how does this concept of a nature-positive bioeconomy accelerate the finance discussion? Over to you.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's the first time that we have a bioeconomy day at COP. We like saying that 100% of the economy is dependent on nature. And there is a clear correlation in a nexus between climate and bioeconomy. Bioeconomy can help us achieving NDCs, NBSAPs, and the National Adaptation Plan, but also it's very vulnerable to climate change and nature loss. And Brazil last year in the G20 started inserting nature in the G20 agenda and created the G20 initiative on bioeconomy, where they could launch and create the 10 high-level principles on bioeconomy. And the next step was to insert bioeconomy in the COP30 agenda, showing this direct correlation between climate and bioeconomy. And just yesterday, Brazil and other countries launched the Bioeconomy Challenge, which aims at continuing the discussion of bioeconomy in the multilateral system. And they are aiming at discussing what are the metrics and data for having bioeconomy globally, what are the market development that we need to create to foster bioeconomy internationally, as well as what are the financial instruments to make it scalable and possible in big proportions. And also how we do make this that is climate for it's positive for nature, people, and the planet, creating the social bioeconomy working group.
Excellent. Can you just double down on that and give us an example of how this could manifest itself?
So we just launched a project with the 9 Amazonian states that are the most native vegetation areas we have in Brazil, and we are creating a common policy on biocredits on how we can conserve the ecosystem service they are providing to the whole sector of the economies. And we launched this in order to improve their fiscal policies and bringing some revenues to the states. So by doing this, they can also conserve these food protection units that are ecosystem service that the whole world is being benefited by. And that's why we created this as a common policy among these 9 Amazonian states.
Excellent. So do you think money is going to flow into the hands of the people that need it on the front lines in the months and years to come? That's really the question, isn't it?
I really hope so. If not directly, indirectly. We know that the Amazonian states where we are one of the poorest states in Brazil, for instance, but they are also the major providers of ecosystem service to the humanity. But they also depend and they want socioeconomic development. So either we help the Amazonian states to build and protect this nature, or we're going to fail in this mission.
Okay, Thanks so much, Luana. Let's come back to some of these points as well, but let's hear from you, Noako, next as well. So we've heard this big idea here in sessions in Sao Paulo, nature on the balance sheet. Can you explain a little bit about what this is and what is the roadmap to achieving it?
Thank you so much for having me. May I just build on what Luana said? You said that this is the first COP which have a day of the bioeconomy. This is also the first COP. It has which has a science pavilion in the history of 30 years. And then science, and this is also the COP of the truth. What do we mean by COP of the truth? Truth to the science. So the science, planetary science told us that we were totally out of balance with natural system because of our economic and social behavior. So the important thing is that how we can really come back to that more sustainable system, and that how can we really live in harmony with natural system. The planetary science tells us that we have exceeded 7 out of 9 boundaries, and it is because that our current economic system is totally outdated. Our valuation system is the one with the Holocene time, and we need to really move to that valuation system of the new Anthropocene time, when we think that nature is become so important. So we have to value what matters most in our current time, and that is the nature. So the entire idea of this nature on the balance sheet is how we can change the valuation system. And let's take value the full account for the full value of natural capital, and how the economic system, every type of economic decision making is integrating based on that. And in order to move forward, it's not just the accounting or the auditing. It is more about the entire financial ecosystem can appreciate it. So that the regulation needs to move, that the rating system needs to move, that the Ministry of Finance or the central bank needs to move, so that the entire system, including investors, feel very comfortable. Now the nature is an investable asset. So that's the point of nature on the balance sheet. It takes time. It's not the easy step because we are basically fighting against the incumbent valuation and the financial system. But once we are able to do it, going back to your Gavin question, who is a beneficiary of that? It's actually the people who are safeguarding, stewarding the nature on the ground, so that then hopefully once we complete it, that the money will flow to that indigenous people, smallholder farmers, that the forest people, or the village, and the fishermen who have been safeguarding the nature for free so far. So that is the vision, and we are now working on that.
Excellent. So what you're really saying is that chief financial officers and finance ministers have to be at the heart of this. They're a long way away from this today. What are the steps to bring these actors into the climate and nature nexus?
No, actually, that I think during this COP, it's become so clear nature and the climate is so integrated, right? So that I think that and the one very good thing I want to share with you and the audience is finally, after a few years of struggle, we are able to present a report to finance ministers that investing in nature is helping their budget, because investing in nature strengthening the resilience will save a lot of money going forward. It's the source of the growth, source of the stability, source of the also the good to reduce this sovereign the gap. So the finance ministers are finally getting the idea, what does it mean investing in nature from their own thinking. So to me, that is the best part of this COP. And then the ones that the finance minister, central bankers get it, I think it sends a very strong signal to the entire market.
Thanks so much, Noako. Let's move over to Satya now. So we started with the bioeconomy concept and down to the ground in the Amazon with Noako talking about essentially the rewiring of the global financial system. How is this going to benefit, for example, small farmers in India by looking at this rewiring of the financial system?
Thank you, Gavin. I think it's quite surprising that this is the first year they have a conversation around the bioeconomy. The economy draws everything from nature. It's not what percentage comes from nature, everything comes from nature. So it is sad that it has taken us so long, but finally, thankfully, Brazil is hosting this COP and they understand the value of nature because President Lula has been at it for a long, long time in his first term and even now to bring really the focus back on the true value of nature. And that's what Noako was pointing to, is that you cannot not put nature on the balance sheet because that is already on the balance sheet. You just don't reflect what the reality is. And that is not a good way of reporting back to your shareholders or stakeholders what nature's value is in the whole equation. You know, what is going in and what is coming out as so-called profits. Now that's what we did in Indonesia, where we partnered with 50,000 people. People have to be at the heart of it because we destroy nature, we can protect nature. And where we set up what is the precursor to the Tropical Forest Forever facility, it was called the Tropical Landscape Finance Facility, where we set up a project of $400 million that employs 50,000 people, was a partnership between Michelin, the tire company, who needs natural rubber. The government of Indonesia was losing a 400,000 hectare forest, 6 times the size of the country Singapore. And BNP Paribas, who wanted to burnish its sustainability credentials, everybody came together, the UN and World Agroforestry Center, and I was the person pulling it all together. And now we have a very successful project that employs 50,000 people. 8 years later is the most sustainable rubber plantation on the planet, and all possible because we valued nature for what it is. And the markets actually put up that money at a cost below the sovereign borrowing cost of Indonesia, with no sovereign guarantees, with no collateral. That is the power of people coming together to stand with Mother Nature. The same thing, we took that idea to India to work with the state of Andhra Pradesh, which is a 60 million people state. It's not a small place. They have 6 million farmers, and the chief minister there, Chandrababu Naidu, who spoke at the Nature Positive dinner earlier this year in Davos, you know, he decided that he's going to make his entire agricultural system free of synthetic chemical fertilizers and pesticides. Now there are 1.5 million people practicing it, borrowing on several very creative agricultural scientists, including Masanobu Fukuoka from Japan, who coined the term regenerative agriculture. And their yields have gone up 11% in the last 7 years. Incomes have gone up 50%. Birds and bees are nesting in agricultural fields. Earthworm count has now exploded literally in the agricultural fields. You can't find an earthworm before. And the German Development Bank came and invested 210 million euros in this at only 0.45% coupon. And the money is going back to them by saving in fertilizer subsidies, which the state alone was getting $1.5 billion every year from the national government just for fertilizer subsidies. Now they're saving that money. This year, they're getting back $21 million. And that number will keep growing. So the entire transition will be cost neutral to the government. That's the power of valuing nature for truly what it is. And that brings back people into agriculture because then now they are making much more money. It is remunerative. It is changing their lives. Poor people are for the first time able to feed their children clean food because they don't have to buy it from the supermarket.
Brilliant, brilliant example. And less fertilizer use, lower emissions
Zero.
as well. Zero
Fossil fuel-based fertilizers and pesticides. Water conservation is 50%. Energy use intensity has dropped 50%. Soil nutrients, soil moisture, soil porosity, soil fertility, microbial count, everything has gone up through the roof just by respecting Mother Nature.
That's brilliant. When we talk about a net zero, nature positive and more equitable world, I think that's a very colorful example to dig into more. That story needs to be told again and again and again, as I'm sure you are, Satya, as well. Let's dig in now, if I can get my technology working, to a question for all of us. So we're hearing here from our fellow panelists a great deal of optimism in terms of what's possible, the decisions, the discussions, and some really practical examples as well. We heard the Tropical Forest Forever Fund launch as well. New ways of financing, in that case, forest conservation. But against this backdrop, some governments are looking to pull back. We've seen a pullback on overseas development aid by a couple of key countries. We've seen President Lula really urging engagement in the TFFF, but that's been not without its challenges as well. Why are you so optimistic against this global backdrop right now, where some people are a bit more pessimistic? Maybe who would like to take that, or all three of you take it?
Well, I think TFFF is one of the facility instruments that we must have in the basket among several others. I think that valuing the intrinsic value of nature is key, and this is what we have been discussing, like putting a value and a price on nature. We know that nature resilience means financial resilience. We know that by valuing nature-rich countries, we are going to also increase their creditworthiness. So I think it's very important to start measuring and accounting what is correct. And as Noako was saying, if we track the whole supply chain from all sectors, every single sector is somehow dependent on nature. So the way we are measuring now, it's wrong. It's wrong. So what Brazil is proposing is innovative and ambitious, and it's not the only solution, but we have to take something. What's happening this COP, in my view, and of course I'm Brazilian, so maybe you think I'm a little bit biased, I think we are offering several nature solutions to the world. So it's there. We have the menu. I really expect several things to happen after this COP, because there are several countries launching several initiatives that are valuing nature. So if we are missing political appetite, it's another issue, but we must make nature count. There is no other pathways for us to have resilience and survive in this world.
I was so happy that Luana mentioned to make the nature count. We actually published a report to actually make the natural capital count, meaning that under this current system, still we are not yet measuring the value in the nature to its full cost, full value. But once we are able to shift that system, we create the new economic mechanism, and this COP actually show to us it's possible, and things are moving towards that direction. TFFA still has some issues remain, but the beauty is that the first time that it valued the standing forest. So it's not a dead forest, but a standing forest. That's the newness. And there are some other initiatives like that, valuing the living nature, not just the valuing the nature, but the living nature. And this is quite a number of examples are marching towards that direction. And if we were able to shift this entire valuation and the financial system towards that direction, we create a totally different economic mechanism which reward the steward of the natural capital on the ground, and it really answers this political question of the global north, global south. That is really the legacy system, but I think we will have an answer to that political question too.
Any reflections, Satya, on what you've heard?
Well, I am an optimist, and seriously, there's no other way to be, because we have already breached 1.5 degrees Celsius of global warming. And no matter what we hear anywhere, we will easily have breached 2 degrees Celsius of global warming in the next 10 years. Let me say why. It took us 89 years when we started counting from 1900. By 1989, we got to 0.5 degrees. By 2017, we got to 1 degrees. By 2027, we're getting to 1.5 degrees. 89 years, 28 years, 10 years. So if anybody is telling we'll still be under 2 degrees by the turn of the century, they're living in a parallel universe. And the only intervention that can bring us back from the brink of 2 degrees or 2.5 degrees of global warming is Mother Nature. When you plant a tree, it produces more oxygen. It restarts the water cycle. It brings down the heat and stores carbon and helps people with all kinds of goods and services, So there's so much, we're talking a lot about changing finance. It is time to finance change. And that's why I'm so excited about the Tropical Forest Forever facility. Is it perfect? Well, we don't know. It just started. Let's not judge it before it even starts doing something. But from at the forget others. Indonesia has committed $1 billion. It's a developing country. They have lots of needs of their own. And so when they are all coming together, and Norway has promised $3 billion, and so this is a wonderful initiative by Brazil that must be something that we all not just subscribe to. If we have the resources, we bring it to the fund, but more important is the pipeline to develop programs that can be funded by the TFFF. Having money is not going to solve any problems. It's one part of the solution, because the world is more than $100 trillion in global GDP every year. Why isn't it solving all the problems? We have the money. It is about creating and developing that pipeline, working with people at the bottom of the pyramid, and then creating the opportunity for money to flow so that then everybody wins. And most importantly, people are ready to invest. From my conversation with some very key people, Andre Hoffman, he's a great conservation champion. He was recently in Andhra Pradesh with his wife, Rosalie. And they both came and they were literally blown away, talking to these women farmers whose resilience is this little, but they are willing to change something that their families have been doing for 100 years already. And so we need to take lessons from these poor women farmers that are willing to change no matter the difficulty. And now they are reaping the benefits. Thank you.
And also, we have 7% of the global GDP harming nature. So this is $7 trillion that are moving towards negative flows towards nature. We must revert this. So I think it's not only TFFF, but we must try other ways and show that nature positive and bioeconomy are a profitable investment strategy.
Absolutely.
We have to try it. We have to give the chance.
Lots of optimism on this panel. I think we need to get each and every one of you in front of finance ministers and CFOs because you're making the case very, very strongly. We've got about 2 minutes left to wrap up. A final thought from each of you. You're in 2030. You're looking back here at this amazing COP30 experience. What was the key takeaway from here that's going to accelerate that pathway to 2030?
I can start. Partnerships. Champions coming together, taking up ideas, empowering other young champions, because they are not just it is that they are the future, but it is their future we are talking about. So we need to really empower young people for doing the right things they are already doing, but also getting them the resources to double down on everything they are doing.
Brilliant. Noako.
I really want to see our valuation system completely changed and to reflect the true value of natural capital, because I'm now living in the very poor area of Japan. People go to the supermarket, they only buy the cheaper food, right? So that rather than forcing them to buy a expensive, sustainable food, I want to see that the food price already integrate, including those sustainability in its pricing. So rather than struggling that everybody marching towards the same direction, I want to see the economic system include those full value of natural capital. That's my dream.
Thanks, Noako. Luana.
I hope decision makers and financial institutions accept that a change is needed. Everybody knows that we must change, but nobody is taking the first step to make it happen. So I think this COP is showing there are different ways of doing it. And by doing so, we're going to be more resilient. I want us to accept this change and start working towards this direction, more positive outcomes to nature, climate, and people.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We've covered a lot of ground here. You heard a lot of optimism, but also some pragmatism as well. Things are indeed possible. We've heard real-world examples, and we've got passionate advocates here working the halls and the rooms at COP30 to make this vision happen. A few final words from me. If you want to dig into the concept of nature positive a little bit more, I thoroughly recommend this book put together by a range of authors that looks at nature positive from the perspective of science, cultural perspective, a finance, a business, and a governance perspective as well. and we've just launched a Brazilian version of this book, translation into Portuguese, with additional Brazilian voices, such as Carlos Nobre, groundbreaking Amazon scientist, and many others too. So please do have a look and a dig into that. Now, a book is a read, of course. If you'd like a summary of the book, we are producing a film that we'll be launching early next year, so watch out for that. And at the end of the segment today, we're going to show a trailer for the film, so that's coming right up as we end. But before we end, just like to say a big thank you to each of you. We've still got a minute left, so if you've got a 10-second thought, fire away.
10-second thought. Together we can.
I want to see the system respecting the nature.
Let's take action in the multi-round spirit and learn from Brazilian experience.
Brilliant. And I'll add the last one. Building a nature-positive economy is possible. Building a net zero economy is possible. The examples are everywhere. It's all about will. It's all about mindset. And let's together figure out how we can do that one step at a time. But at the same time, time is against us. We've heard some very scary numbers in terms of climate change, in terms of nature loss as well. So let's move this agenda forward quickly and together. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we don't have time.
Nature.
We certainly do.
It gives us everything we need to thrive. And it is our greatest ally in the fight against climate change. Becoming nature positive is our pathway to a safe and prosperous future.
The only way we can build a people-positive future is to secure a nature-positive one.
Yet we are destroying nature faster than at any other time in our history. And the effects on humanity are profound.
Humanity has become a weapon of mass extinction. And ultimately, we are committing suicide by proxy.
Our assault on nature threatens the foundations of our future.
We cannot continue to grow, consume, and not expect any consequences.
All the science we have today shows that we are in danger, but we have not yet lost it. The window is still open to turn back.
We are facing the greatest choice in the history of our species. Continue with business as usual and put the future of humanity at risk. Or transition our societies, our economies, and our future to a nature-positive path.
We have created these systems, and that means that we can change them. Nature positive is not a vision. It's something that we have to do.
We are the ones who hold the pen and can write the next chapter in the history of humanity.
Can we build a better future where both nature and humanity thrive? This is the promise of a nature-positive world.